Today in ArcMap Pro, we're going to look at how to create a shape file, how to edit that shape file, how to edit an existing shape file, and how to add in imagery and LiDAR. So for starters, we're going to go up and we're going to pick New. We're going to go to Map, and this dialog's going to open here. I named my project Lab 3 Video. You can name it whatever you want. Put it in whichever folder system you're using for your class. Say OK. Say I had a project open. That was what was going on. All right. So we start out like before with our maps showing up here. We want to go in and we want to go into the data that you would have downloaded for your Lab 3. So if we go to Map, we can go to Add Data. And we want to click here and add data to the map. And so you'll go to where you saved your Lab 3 Create Base Map folder. And we want to add in roads and streams. You say OK. And this is going to automatically zoom us to where we put in those roads and the streams. All right. So I'm going to have us turn off this topographic map and the hill shade. We're actually going to be bringing in our own hill shade. I want to show you guys how to do that. So in this case, we're in Oregon. So we would go to the Oregon Geodatabase website. And we do that by going in to whatever your browser is and searching for Oregon Geospatial Database. And it'll bring up your search, and it's this one right here. And click on that, and then you want to go to Oregon Spatial Data Library. And then once you're in here, you can we're looking for imagery, right? So you can go over here and you can click on imagery, and you'll scroll through and you can see that all of these files that they're showing that are available to download are all imagery files. And we're going to go in a little bit deeper because we want a specific file that we're looking for here. And so, all right, to page 3 and to page 4. All right, so what we're looking for is the OSIP files here. And we'll pick this one right here. And if you click on this file here, it brings you to this page. And then you have this service URL. If you click on service URL, it will open up this page here. And then we want to click View in ArcMap. When you click that, you can see down here at the bottom that it starts a download. And it will download this layer file into your download folder for whatever your browser is. And you can go in there and you can take that layer file and you can bring it over into your project file that you're working with currently. Now what this layer file is it's not actually an image of Oregon. It's a file that then references this server page. And so you're just streaming their digital image onto your screen. You don't actually have that digital image saved at this point in time. I will show you how you can then later on clip out parts of images and save them separately so that you can have them when you're offline. But we won't be doing that today. So we've got this file here, and then we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go up here, and I want you to search for Dogami. And Dogami is our Oregon Department of Geology and Mineral Industries. And you can go down here and you just click on LiDAR. And this gets you to this page here. And then once again, we're going to do the same thing. But we're going to go down to here and we want digital elevation model, bare earth. What we're looking for is digital elevation model, hillshade mosaic, bare earth hillshade. Click on that. And then the same thing, if you click on ArcMap, it will download a layer for you. So take both of those layers and drop them into from your downloads folder, drop them into your folder that your project is existing in. So now we can close out of the browser. So all right, so we're back into our map project here. We have our streams and our roads. Currently our streams are in purple, so let's just fix some of this before we bring in the imagery. We can double click on that line there. It opens up our symbology over here, and let's make our streams, let's make them blue, and let's make them 2-point wide. Say apply. There we go, our streams look nice and clear. And then we can go to our roads. Let's make our roads black. Click apply. We can probably leave our roads for right now as a single point width. That looks okay. All right, now we want to go back and we want to add data again. So we can go to the add data here and click on that. And if we scroll into the folder where you drop those 2 layer files, so I have the LiDAR file here and I have my imagery file, we should be able to click on it and say OK. And there we go, that brought in the LiDAR. And you see the LiDAR is a hill shade, just like this world hill shade. But the definition of this one might be a little bit higher because these are flown at meter resolution. So you get some pretty good, decent resolution out of the Dogami LiDAR files. And then we want to do the same thing. We want to go in and we want to add again, and we want to add this, the OSIP file. We'll wait for a second. You see down here it's loading, and this brings in the imagery file. So our roads are a little bit hard to see right now, but we're going to zoom in a little bit anyway. We're going to actually be zoomed in on this cluster of 4 clear cuts here. And what I'm going to have you do is we're going to digitize the outline of one of these clear cuts. So, and you guys are going to digitize a few of them. So even zoomed in, our one point roads are a little hard to see. So let's go back to our roads here, click on them. Instead of 1 point, let's try making those 3. Let's see how that looks. That's maybe a little overbearing. So we can, let's go back, make it a 2-point, say apply. That looks a little bit better. So we can see the roads there, and we can see where they're at. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you go in and we're going to create a shapefile here for this. So to do that, if we go up and we open up our, I believe, view, and we go to catalog view, or we can go to catalog pane. Catalog pane will work. We're in catalog pane here, and we want to scroll to where our folder is, so where our project's at. So I can just click on folders here, and then I can go into Lab 3 video, which is where I'm creating everything. And I can go in here and I can right click on here and say new, and I can say shapefile. And that will bring up this dialog here. So it's creating it in my Lab 3 video folder, which is my folder that I have my project in. My feature class name, that's going to be the name of my shapefile. I'm going to call it clear cuts. It's a polygon, right? Because we're drawing around the outside of this, so it's not a single point. If we wanted to just locate where clear cuts were, we could do a center point on these clear cuts and say these are where the clear cuts are. And then we want to go down and we want to affect a few things here. So we don't need a z value for it. Let's give it a coordinate system though, and we're just going to choose a coordinate system, either one of the stream or the roads coordinate systems. So if we go to streams, as an add 83, Oregon statewide, Lambert, and feet, that will work for what we're doing right now. So we have that in feet, and we've created this, and then we go down to the bottom, we say run. And you can see it did what it was doing, and it created our feature class down there. So we have our feature class here. It's got this symbology. We're actually going to do a few things here to make it easier to edit. We're going to go in and we want to change the color to no color, and let's change the outline to something bright so that we can see it. And we'll say, give it a 1-point font. We'll say apply. All right, so nothing drawn yet, right? Because we haven't drawn anything yet. So now if we go to the edit tab, and this is where Arc Pro is different than ArcMap in that you're always editing. You don't have to go in and start editing and change everything or anything like that. You're just always editing. So we can close this geoprocessing window and the catalog window. And there we go. Now that we've got here, we want to go in and we want to create. And so if we create and then we click clear cuts, and it's going to open up this dialog right here. And in this dialog right here, we can see a few tools that we'd have for creating. You can just do it. You can draw a circle. You can draw squares, ellipses. But what we're going to do is we want to freehand our polygon, right? So we click on that, and we can come down, and we can zoom in to our clear cut here. Now we have something called snapping on, and you can see here when I get close to the road, it automatically snaps me over to that road. We don't want that on for this, so we can just go up here and we just click on that and it turns snapping off. Now you see when I get close to the road, it doesn't automatically snap me to the road. All right, and so what you do when you're drawing a polygon is you just start clicking your mouse along the perimeter. And you can see here we're making these little dots, and these little dots are vertices. So every time you put a dot in, you're then drawing a straight line to the next dot. So if you just think they're basically the points where you're changing direction. And we just click along the outside of our clear cut here. And if you're wondering how I was able to go up and click and move the map like that, like I just did right there, if you push down on your scroll button, it will let you grab a hold of the map and move it that way, which is really handy when you're doing something like this and you're zoomed in. We just go along the edge of the clear cut here. For this, I'm not being super free and simple with my edges. I'm trying to be relatively accurate, but potentially not as much as it would depend what you're using the data for. So if you were doing something where you were just doing a basic outline of what the clear cuts are in a forest, this would be fine. If you were doing something where you needed exact dimensions or area for, say, all the clear cuts within a certain animal's habitat or something along those lines, or if you're doing some sort of mitigation project or something like that, you'd probably want to be in and like really zoomed on the edges and making sure that you were following the edges of your outside polygon really well. And you'd have a lot more vertices in here. You can see that these straight lines are cutting corners a little bit. It's fine for what we're doing and the scale that we're doing, but you just need to keep that in mind, that just like your map design and how much detail you put in your maps and what detail you put in your maps is dependent upon what the project is. Same thing for this. And then when you get to the end, you're going to double click on your last point. And that just created a polygon. So if we zoom out, you can see here now we have a polygon that is around that clear cut. So what I'll have you guys do for this assignment is I'll have you digitize that polygon, this one here, and this one up here. And if you're feeling like you want a little more practice, you can do this one down here as well. So that is how we created a feature, right? So we created a shapefile, and then within that shapefile, we created this feature. And if you were to go to this and right-click on Clear Cuts now and go to Attributes Table, you can now see that there is one polygon that is created in there. if we were to draw another polygon, and when you guys are done drawing yours, you'll have 4 polygons created in here. And those polygons will all be representative here. And then next week, what I'll do is show you how to add fields in here and populate them. So you can add in, your perimeter, acres, all of that, and then populate them with the values that fit for these clear cuts. So the next thing I want to show you is how you take an existing shapefile and edit it. And once again, the new Arc Pro is making this a little bit easier. So up here under our edit, in our edit toolbar, we can click on this modify tab. And under our modify tab, we can go down to adding our vertices. So we can edit vertices. And so we can zoom in here, and we're still on clear cut, so we want to back up just a tiny bit. We want to make sure we're on roads. And then we go to our edit vertices. Hold on a second. This part's changed a little bit. Let me close out of that. We click on roads here. So we're in roads in this part of it. And then we can go to modify, edit vertices. We're still in clear cuts. We might have to go to map. Project and click save. Alright, so now if we're on roads and we go into edit, we're going to modify. Oh, I know what's going on. My bad. Sorry, we need to go up to map. This clear cut is selected. We gave it kind of an annoying color, and I didn't realize that we actually still have it selected. So we need to clear our selection. Now you can see it's that annoying green instead of the light blue of it being selected. So now that it's not selected, we should be able to go into our edit and modify and edit vertices, and then we can select our roads there, which is already selected, and we should be able to zoom in now to this road, and we will click here, and you can see that when we click on that line, it changes where our vertices are. So we can pull this down here a little bit, and we can see we have this road here that doesn't really follow where the road's at, right? So let's zoom in, and we can click on this, and what it's going to do is it's not going to highlight the entirety of the road. It will just highlight that segment. So from here to here is a segment, right? So that was drawn. Just like this polygon in your attributes table is going to be one attribute line, this segment's going to be one attribute line too. So we can go down here and we can grab these points because we're in the modified version, and we can take them and we can pull them over onto this road and make that road drawing more accurate to reality. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind is that you kind of want to pay attention to what your base layer accuracy is too, because sometimes you might be changing a layer that's actually very accurate, and the base map, the image you're using, isn't projected correctly, or isn't a very good base map, and in that case you might be changing this line in a way that it isn't making it better. So then if we click off of it, it redo that line, right? So now we can go up here and we can go to create. We're still under roads, and we're going to create a line, right? And we can zoom in here, and let's draw in part of this road, okay? So we're going to draw this road up to this landing right here. So by doing that, we want to go back and we want to turn snapping on. The reason why I want to turn snapping on is because I want it to, when we zoom in here, so if we don't have snapping on, so if snapping's not on, I could start my road right here, right? And that one, it wouldn't connect to this line. We want it to connect to this line. We want this to be a continuous road, right? So we'll turn snapping on. Then when I get close, you can see that it snaps me right to the end of that road. And then we just start clicking along. This is just like drawing the polygon. Once again, accuracy is dependent upon what you're doing and how much accuracy you actually need. It's not, you know, you have to balance the amount of time that it makes. I'm not saying to intentionally draw things that aren't accurate, but drawing things that are super accurate takes a lot of time. And so if your output project doesn't require the amount of accuracy that you're spending a lot of time to do, you might not have time to do other parts of your project, and you'd be, I don't know, essentially wasting going with a super accurate road line, you know, something along those lines. So we'll get up here to the end and we'll double click, and there you go. So we drew that road in. Now we started that road at the end of this other line, right? So right there, I believe. No, right here. So we started it there, right? But what if we want it to go out and we wanted to draw in, say, this road to this landing? Well, you don't have to start at the end of another line. You can start right here in the middle too. And since we have snapping on, it brings us over and snaps us right to the line. When we click there, we create a vertex in that line. And then from there, we can draw this road in. And we bring them right up to here, get to the end, double click. And that gives us that road there. Okay? So that is how you modify an existing road. And like I said, this is, well, actually, that's how we created, we modified an existing shapefile by creating a new segment on that shapefile. And so we created a new shapefile. Inside that new shapefile, we created a polygon. And then we took a road shapefile, we modified some of the existing lines, and then we also added to it. So all of these are actually really useful tools. This is something that you will definitely end up using if you go on to use Arc in the future. So so let's go back and we will save this so that those points are saved. We'll clear our selection and we will get out of the edit view, go back to map, and then the last part that I want to show you how to do is we're going to look at how to make these images look a little bit better. And you might wonder, why did I bring in the LiDAR as well as the photo? Well, the reason for that is the LiDAR allows us to create shading on the photo that makes the photo look a little bit more realistic. So especially here, like, you can't really tell whether or not you're in a valley or on a ridge here just by these lines. But if we turn off the photo and you see the LiDAR, you can definitely tell where your valleys and where your valley bottoms versus your ridge lines are, right? So what we want to do is we want to combine this with the photo to create an effect. And so there's a few ways we can do that. We're gonna click on our photo here, and we'll go up to the imagery tab, and then underneath, no, we're gonna go to the appearance tab. Excuse me, things change. We're gonna go to the appearance tab when we've clicked on the image. And here we have transparency. So let's see what happens if we turn our photo to a 50% transparency. Well, we can see the ridge lines and the valley bottoms and everything, but it doesn't look great, right? It looks a little washed out. So let's make this back to 100. And then we'll go and, oh, I put it on 100 transparency. We don't want 100 transparency. We're in 0 transparency. My bad. So we have our image back. It's 100% non-see-through. And then what we'll do is we'll take our LiDAR. Let's drag it on top of our photo, or drag our photo underneath our LiDAR. It's going to be picky. And so now our LiDAR's on top. We can't see the photo. So let's go to our LiDAR layer and make that 50% transparent. Let's see how that looks. That looks okay, but once again, everything looks a little washed out. So let's maybe go and make this 85% transparent. Well, in that case, we don't actually gain much anymore, right? So we can see a little bit there, but not as much. So let's try 75. You'd start to see a little bit more of your shadows in there from the LiDAR. It shows up your hills and everything a little bit better. And this is one of the things that you can mess around with until you get your transparencies to where you like them. So if we go 40%, that's too much. Go back to 70. 70 looks okay. You can also mess around with a little bit of the layer blending here. None of this is permanent, so if you go to color burn, I don't know how much I like that. So if we do color burn, but maybe make our transparency 50%. But you can mess around with it. I don't particularly care for that effect. But this is one of those things where basically you are you're trying to create a map that looks good with these effects. So that actually doesn't look too bad. The overlay at 50% gives you a little bit more of an idea of your shapes of your hills and everything. But you can mess around with that, and you can do it. You can get the image the way you like it, and then from here you'll go on and create a map. I want you to create a map that has a legend in it that shows streams, roads, and clear cuts. I need it to have a north arrow, and I want it to have a scale bar, and then a title. So, and then always you want to have at the bottom your source data and then your name. And so your source data is going to be Dogami, and then you can put the Oregon Geodatabase Clearinghouse as your other source. So mess around with the look that you have here with your transparencies and your layer blend types. See if you get something that you like. Make a good map. I want you to go in and digitize in the roads that I did as well, and then digitize in this road as well. And so that's the digitizing that I want you to do, and then I want you to do at least these 3 clear cuts. You can do this one as well if you would like. So that's what I have for this week. If you have any questions, if you want to go back over how to create your legend and everything, the lesson from last week goes over all of that and how to put in north arrows and all of those things. So if you have questions, send me an email and I will talk to you later.